Good morning, children. If we can see the horizon, we want to know what's beyond. These are the words of Buzz Aldrin, whom we all know as Buzz Edwin Aldrin, who was one of the three astronauts who were the first men to set their feet on the moon. And isn't it so true? Really, when we see the horizon, I'm sure we all want to know what lies beyond this horizon. How far can we go until we are able to touch this place where the sky meets the earth? I'm sure there must have been an occasion in each one of your lives when, sometimes sitting below the night sky, you must have looked up at the twinkling stars, at the vast expanse of darkness with star spangled sky in front of you, or at the silver spangled moon, or maybe the shapes that you try to discern on the moon, or maybe looking at some distant twinkling object, wondering whether it is a star or a planet, trying to make out the constellations of the shapes of the stars in the sky. All of you must have wondered, what is this space made of? You must have wished that you could go into that space and visit the different planets that you study about in your science and social studies period. Isn't it? Like little George, you must have asked yourself, what is this space?
Why? I'm curious. Space. I wonder what's up. It's way high up. Way up past the sky. In space.
The planets, the stars, and the bright full moon that shines on your shining face.
So, children, to answer all these questions that might be cropping up into your curious heads, we have come up with the next theme for our assembly: space, the final frontier. And here is the curtain raiser video, the video which will begin the presentation every morning, kind of a teaser which is going to tell us what's there in store for us in the upcoming weeks.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
So, when we talk of space, we have to understand what is the Milky Way because we belong to the Milky Way or the Akash Ganga. How large is the Milky Way? And I'm sure you will be coming across this word light year. What is a light year? Every teacher who talks about the various planets in the space are all going to use this word light year. What is light year? Let's understand all this through this video. So, although the light year is a commonly used unit, astronomers prefer a different unit called the parsec or PC. A parsec is equal to 3.26 light years. When we use the parsec for really large distances, we often put a prefix in front of it like kpc or kiloparsecs, which are equal to 1000 parsecs, or megaparsec mpc, equal to a million parsecs. The Milky Way is about 1 lakh light years or about 30 kpcs across. Isn't that huge? The sun does not lie near the center of our galaxy. It lies about 8 kpcs from the center on what is known as the Orion arm of the Milky Way. Since times immemorial, man's quest to go into space and find out more about space has been going on. And the first man who went into space was Yuri Gagarin, a Russian, in his spaceship Vostok 1.
The Russians had successfully launched the first satellite ever to circle the Earth.
In the late 1950s, the Soviet Union placed the first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, into orbit, igniting the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. The competition over who had superior technology and military fight power took center stage during the Cold War. The Soviets claimed the first victory by sending the first man into space. Yuri Gagarin took flight in a capsule-like spacecraft called Vostok 1, which was adapted from a Soviet intercontinental ballistic missile, the R-7 Semyorka. Beginning his flight at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in southern Kazakhstan, Gagarin reached a maximum height of 203 miles.
So now that Russia had sent the first man into space, how could America be far behind? So in 1961, the first American stepped into space.
3, 2, 1, 0, liftoff. Roger, liftoff and the clock has started.
I remember feeling a moment of exhilaration because, of course, I had been training for 2 years, and in fact, I was more than ready for the liftoff to occur, and was quite delighted that, in fact, it did occur.
So now that the two most developed nations of the world at that time had sent a human being into space, it was time for yet another landmark achievement. And the next milestone was reached when man landed on the moon.
Sequence start.
Apollo 11 took 3 men, Neil Armstrong, Buzz
We finally
Aldrin,
come to
and
the
Michael
day,
Collins
the moment the
to land
trajectory
on
had
the
been
moon.
wrong. They were targeted into this inhospitable place. Then they had to fly over this area at a high forward velocity, then pitch up to slow down so that kill their forward velocity, and then start down like a helicopter.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
These were immortal words, one small step for man, but a giant leap for mankind. Human beings had stepped on the moon, and now their target was the planets around. While all this was happening in the world, even in India, people were curious to know about space. Of course, we had astronomers like Varaha Mihira, Aryabhatta, who were great astronomers who had studied space, the stars, the constellations, the nakshatras, and they had done a lot of research into space. But traveling into space was something that actually began way back in 1967, not in reality, but in a movie. And this movie's theme was man's conquest of the moon. The movie was called Chand Par Chadhai, in which even before Neil Armstrong could set foot on the moon, Dara Singh, the hero, had conquered the moon, but that was only on the silver screen. Since then, many movies centering around space and its mysteries have been made, like Swadesh, Koi Mil Gaya, Mission Mangal, and so many more. However, India's curiosity about space was not limited to movies alone. A lot was going on ground. And in 1963, India had fired its first rocket into space. The father of India's space program, Vikram Sarabhai, believed that our research into space should be more useful in startup development, finding out information from space that would help to develop technology, telecommunications, agriculture, also finding out about the mineral resources, where they were located and in what quantities, finding out and predicting about the weather and the changes in the weather conditions, such kind of information which was being brought down by the various by pictures sent down from the rockets and the space shuttles that were sent into space by India.
The firing of a two-stage rocket on 21st of November 1963 from an unlikely little Kerala fishing village, Tumba, saw the birth of the Indian space program. The 60s were primarily devoted to building up of expertise and infrastructure. Though there was some assistance from France, USA and USSR, most of the efforts were indigenous. By 1965, a Space Science Center was established in Tumba. And on Independence Day in 1969, the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, was formed under the Department of Atomic Energy. Subsequently, in 1972, ISRO was brought under the Department of Space, DOS, and has since been responsible for the execution of the National Space Program.
Now, India did send up a lot of satellites into space, such as Rohini, then INSAT-1A, B, C, Apple, and so many more. But besides that, there were other places where we were making achievements. We had now started sending up our people into space. And the first Indian to go into space was Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma. So children, this was only a very small glimpse of India's success story in the field of space. Of course, you are all aware about the various other missions like the Gaganyaan, Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan, all which were sent into space successfully and which are conducting a lot of research from space and helping us out. Well, children, this was a small curtain raiser into what is going to come before you in the weeks that are going to come ahead. And I hope you are all set to zoom along with us into space. Shall we go into this journey? So come along with all of us, teachers, children, and we will take you into an exhilarating journey into space, the final frontier.